so we'll dive in. My name's Ken Shore. I'm CEO here at SOS Online Backup, and welcome to an ongoing series of webinars that we do here most weeks. We've got various presenters, but today you'll have me. And the topic of today's webinar is the SOS Online Backup Partnership Program. Now, in talking about that, we're going to talk a little bit about the backup industry as a whole, also the online backup industry specifically, and the changes that it's bringing to the overall backup and DR industry. We'll talk briefly about SOS's company history, but we assume that if you're here at today's webinar, then you're at least passingly familiar with who we are and what it is that we do. And then we'll look at the SOS technology stack and then the actual details of the partnership program itself. There'll be a Q&A session at the end, roughly half past the hour, but really encourage you to ask questions throughout the presentation. That's usually the way I think everybody gets the most out of these presentations, both the audience and us here at the company, is to have as much of an interactive dialogue as possible. The details for the Kindle giveaway will be given out at the end of the webinar, so stick around to get those details. To really the audience and the target audience for today's webinar, IT service companies, VARs, MSPs, software companies, really anybody who sells IT goods or services who is looking to add online backup as a product within their existing products or services lines. If you're looking to use SOS yourself as a direct customer, some of today's presentation may be interesting to you, but probably most of it's going to be a little off kilter. All right, so let's dive in. SOS, just a brief background on us as a company. We've been around since 2001, so quite a long time in the industry, always focused on online backup. We got started in the business when online backup was very much a nascent industry. It's since grown enormously since then, and we've grown along with it. So now as a company, we're a global firm with operations around the world. We're headquartered here in California. We've got 150 employees, and we've got millions of customers who've backed up to the SOS grid over the years. What makes us different as a company? Really two key areas. First is our technology. We've always strived to lead the industry from a technology standpoint, and I think we've done reasonably well at doing that, and certainly we've won many awards over the years for our product and for our technology and our R&D. For example, the PC Magazine Award, you can see here on this slide, we've been PC Magazine Editor's Choice for the last 5 years, which we're very proud of. But the other thing that I think is more relevant to today's audience is that we're partner and channel focused. So we're really the only major online backup company who focuses on a channel distribution model. We started, most people mark 2006 as the year that online backup really got critical mass as an industry, and there were 3 companies, Carbonite, Mozy, and us, who launched that year. And of those 3, we're the only partner-focused firm. Mozy and Carbonite very much direct-focused. And since then, we've signed more than 1,000 partners around the world, most of whom are white-label partners. So we've got more than 500 fully white-labeled partners, and that's our primary form of partnering, is actually to build a completely white-labeled and reskinned version of our product for you in your brand, for your company. In terms of positioning, in terms of the market segments we focus on, we're very small and medium business focused. We do have consumer solutions that compete with Carbonite and Mozy down in the home user market. So if you're in the business of selling products to home users and consumers, we do have solutions for you. Similarly, in the enterprise, we've got enterprise solutions, particularly around laptop fleets and backing up large distributed data sets. But our real sweet spot is in the small business sector, anything from a 2-employee small office, home office, through to several hundred employee type medium business. In terms of the white labeling I was talking about, this slide here really captures what it is that our partnership program is all about. We take everything that SOS has learned over the years and all of our technology and product. We then run that through the filter of your business. And what I mean by that is it's not just about taking your branding and your logos and your color scheme. It's really about coming up with pricing and product positioning and bundling that makes sense for your company, and building online backup in as a new product or service line within your product framework, with the end goal, of course, being to help you drive new incremental revenue that's high margin and on a recurring revenue basis from selling backup as a managed service. On the screen here, we've got several examples of the type of white labeling that we do, everything from the PC product software that we completely reskin through to marketing collateral and various other sales utilities. So we'll talk more about all of the sales and marketing assistance that we bring to bear for our partners later. But suffice to say, anything that you see with the SOS logo on it in any of our material, that can be rebranded and repurposed for you and your company. All right, so let's turn and look briefly at what the traditional backup landscape has looked like. Backup's a pretty old industry, a very established industry. It's been, consumer and small business backup's been a major concern since 1980, since the personal computer became, popular and widespread. So it really is one of the older industries. The cloud backup and online backup gets a reputation for being very new, but it really isn't. It's really just the latest evolution of a very old industry where the metrics and markets are pretty well understood. When we look at the current technology landscape for backup, you've got different situations in the market for these three market segments: consumer, small business, and enterprise. The reason I talk about this is the reality of the marketplace currently from a technology standpoint changes the way you will sell backup depending on who your customers are. So the relevance of this slide is if your customers are all consumer, well then you're dealing with a market where there is no particular standard for backup. Backup is one of the most overlooked parts of consumer computing life. Where backup solutions are in place, they're usually hardware-based, they're usually on-site, they'll often be homegrown, for example, manually copying data to USB flash memory keys, emailing data to oneself. So there really is not an automated solution for backup, and certainly not an off-site backup standard in place in the consumer market. If you're primarily selling to small businesses, on the other hand, you've got a very different reality. Nearly all small businesses do have some sort of backup plan in place, and the data that around the failure rate of small businesses that go through a catastrophic data loss are quite staggering. So you're generally up against a technology replacement sale when you're selling to small businesses. Tape backup is by far the most common backup technology that's in place, with more than 80% market share. And there's then typically some software that goes along with that. So Backup Exec, for example, is the market leader from a tape backup management software perspective. The other component of small business backup is labor, and it's one of the most uncosted and overlooked elements of the overall total cost analysis when you look at your typical tape backup or disk backup solution. We're going to look at that in a couple of slides' time. In the enterprise, we've got a similar architecture. You're still dealing with centralized hardware-based backup regimes, often to disk rather than tape, but there's still an awful lot of tape floating around in the enterprise as well. So again, it's a technology replacement sale. So when you're selling into consumers, you're generally selling into a vacancy. When you're selling to small businesses and enterprise, it's about providing a much better backup at a much better price. So and there are some statistics here about decline in tape backup sales. Generally, there is an enormous trend away from tape backup. So the Santa Clara Group recently released